Hi guys! So today I'm going to show you how to make homemade pasta. It's so easy and it has all of like 4 ingredients. So it'd be pretty cool if you would try and make it at home if you're totally bored out of your mind, but it's okay if you don't. So what I have is I have 4 ounces of flour, I have an egg and an egg yolk, also a tablespoon of water and a tablespoon of olive oil, and a little pinch of salt. Okay, so I'm just going to put the salt in with my liquids and I'm going to set that aside. So when you make homemade pasta, I have already sanitized, okay, so see, I follow those same procedures I ask you guys to follow. I'm just gonna dump the flour out on the table, and this is where I'm going to be making a well, which is just a hole in the center of the flour. So I'm just gonna go ahead and make this little well. While I'm doing that, shout out to my camera woman, Mrs. Yankee,
Woot woot.
who hopefully doesn't make me laugh during this video. Okay, so I've made a well, and notice I've made it pretty big. That's probably about 3 to 4 inches around because my liquids have to fit in here without breaking the well, otherwise you have a big old mess. So here we go. Okay, so now I want to break up the egg yolks and then start incorporating the flour into my dry ingredients. So I'm just working in this little well. And once I have that pretty well combined, I'm going to start pulling in some flour, little bit at a time, okay? Because if you break this wall, again, the liquid will rush everywhere, so you have to be really intentional. Now, I am not an expert at this by any means, and that's okay. And it's okay if, if you are going to try it at home, if it doesn't work out or you end up making a mess, just make sure you kind of like catch it and just bring it back and it'll all be fine. And yeah, I'm speaking from experience. So I'm going to keep just incorporating this flour in until this really is no longer such a liquid state, and then I'm going to knead it together. So I'm going to continue doing this. And I'll just pop that in there a little bit at a time. And I can feel, and you can probably see, it's getting a little less liquidy as it's absorbing all the flour. So once I feel like it's not going to run all over, then you can break those walls of the well, because obviously now you can see it's pretty manageable. And I'm just going to keep kind of bringing this together as best I can. And so now it's really not as precise, I'm not really being as careful with it, and then pretty soon I'm actually going to start kneading it. Okay. So I can't really incorporate any more flour anymore without kneading it. So I'm going to just go ahead and really, there's no scientific way to do this. Basically, you just kind of want to like push it all together in a ball. And it's going to be pretty liquidy right now, and that's okay. And so all you're really trying to do is just incorporate that flour in there to get it to be one cohesive pasta dough section. So you can see that as I'm doing this, it's coming together more and more. The flour is being incorporated more and more. So as I'm doing this, let me talk a little bit about kneading. So kneading is a process where you pretty much just fold and turn and push dough, and you're doing it for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's going to bring this all together into one structure, but also you're developing the gluten. So you guys learned about gluten yesterday in that quick video on Edpuzzle. And really, gluten is a protein, and it's responsible for the shape and texture of a lot of of all your doughs, really. And so as we knead it, we develop that, and we just give our baked good or our grain good a good structure. And so I'm going to start kneading. So basically what you do is you're going to push forward with your palm, turn it, fold it, and then push again. So you can see it doesn't look very nice right now. And so as I knead this, it's going to become one nice smooth pasta dough. So I'm just going to push, fold, turn, push, fold, Okay, you guys, so our pasta dough has refrigerated for an hour now. And that's just kind of to let the gluten relax and come together. So I have separated my dough into 4 sections, and I've kind of coated them each in flour. So I'm just gonna work with one section at a time. First thing I wanna do is dust my counter with flour. Then I'm gonna put my pasta section down, and I'm just gonna roll it out. Okay, I just wanna get it into kind of a rectangle form. I don't need to go super thin, but I'm going about 1/4 of an inch. And if it's sticky like that, it'll stick to the rolling pin, because I'm going to let my KitchenAid attachment do most of the work for me. But let's say you don't have this at home. I don't have this at home. I come to school to use this. What you can do is you're just gonna roll it out really, really, really paper thin, and you can then use a pizza cutter to cut into like spaghetti sized or fettuccine noodle strips. So what I have is my KitchenAid, and this is just a roller, and it's gonna, every time I do it, make my dough thinner and thinner and thinner. So I have it attached, I have it on setting 1, and I'm gonna go ahead and turn my KitchenAid on, and I'm gonna feed this through. And it's gonna grab a hold of it, and you'll see that it stretches it out, okay? So I'm gonna turn this off. There we go. And I'm gonna fold this in half, fold it in half again, and I'm going to roll it out. Now, I'm going to do this because every time I handle this dough, it dries it out, and that's what you want, okay? So I'm gonna turn that back on, still with setting 1, and I'm gonna go ahead and feed that through. So once you have that done, now you're just going to move this. I'm just gonna move this up, and I'm going to run it through on settings 2, 3, and 4. And you'll notice it's going to get longer and thinner each time I do this. Okay, and I'm gonna go to setting 3. And after this is usually where I cut it in half, so that way I just don't have a ridiculously long piece of pasta dough. Alright, but I'm gonna go for it and just make a really long one. So each time I do this, again, it's getting thinner, it's helping to dry it out. At this setting, this is almost translucent. I don't know if you guys will be able to see, but when I hold it up, you can see my fingers through it, okay? So that's good. That means it's the thinness that it wants to be. So I've done this about 5 times. So then I'm just going to kind of sit this over here, and if I were doing this, if you were doing this, you would just roll these all out to the same. I'm gonna stop the video while I switch over my cutter attachment. Okay. All right, so I have ran all of our pasta through the roller, and it's gotten super, super thin. This one I didn't cut at all, and so you can see each time it gets longer and longer. So I have the fettuccine noodle attachment on, and so now it's going to cut it. And as soon as I cut it, I'm throwing it in my pot of boiling water. So I'm just gonna feed this down, and you will see magic happen. So look at those beautiful noodles. Look at that. And I just throw that in there. So remember, you guys, fresh pasta takes about 3 to 4 minutes to cook. I'm gonna block your view. And you have to throw it in right away because this is fresh. It will stick if I just pile the noodles in a big pile. So you can see it starts to cook. Fresh pasta always floats, and so again, it's anywhere from about 3 to 4 minutes. So it's very simple, and so I just try to catch it so it doesn't get stuck on the ground. Normally I would do this like facing towards me. So that's homemade pasta. It's super duper easy, and it's delicious. So when it's all done, it's good to go. In the recipe there was like a garlic butter sauce if you just want to toss the noodles with that, or I'm sure you have pasta sauce at home. So I encourage you to give it, oh, that just got in my eye. I encourage you to give it a try. If you don't have a KitchenAid attachment at home, roll it out super, super thin, cut it with a pizza cutter. It will still be delicious, even if it's a little thicker than normal. So